Hello, everyone. It is NBA playoff time. It's time to go over my predictions for this NBA playoffs. Now, I will give you updated predictions as the playoffs go on, but for right now, I will give you my every single round and championship prediction. So let's get started in the East, and let's get started with one seed Miami versus eight seed Atlanta. Um, I I do feel like if Atlanta had John Collins available, then Atlanta could put up more of a fight in this series. But since he's out, and now Capella's out with a knee injury, and who knows how long he may be out for, even if it's just a few games, I just feel like that is too much for Atlanta to overcome there. Especially since Miami is really good defensively, so Miami has so many different guys like Peter Tucker, Jimmy Butler, Markieff Morris, so they can Victor Oladipo, then they can throw at Trae Young to kind of contain them. I do think Trae Young's good enough to give you one win in this series, but I don't. I mean, I would be surprised if the series goes pretty long. So I have Miami win the series 4-1. Next, you got Boston and Brooklyn. I feel like this will go a full 7 games. Now, here's the thing: I don't care whether Ben Simmons plays or not, because I'm not going to believe he will play until I see it. Just because if he hasn't done, I'm not sure what's the deal with him. But for Boston, not having their defensive center Robert Williams is going to hurt them a lot. Now, if you could tell me that Robert Williams can come back at some point in the series, or obviously if he can play for the majority of the series, then I'd actually take Boston here because he's just that good of a rim protector and helps have that top three defense in the league. But since they don't have him, and therefore Brooklyn doesn't have to worry about size disadvantage or mismatch or anything like that. I feel like the better duo of KD Kyrie will overtake the better duo of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Not by much. That's why I have to go to 7 games. But I do feel like in the end, because of the injuries for Boston, Brooklyn will get it done and advance to the next round, get the upset there. Next, you got Milwaukee versus Chicago. Now, if Chicago had Lonzo Ball healthy for the series, and if they didn't also play bad towards the end of the season, might say this could be interesting. But since they're not going on the right track, since Lonzo Ball's going to be out and Milwaukee's healthy now, I have Milwaukee as a sweep. And I don't have many sweeps at all, but this is going to be one of those where I feel like Milwaukee should probably sweep them. Now, there might be a close game or two in the series, but I just feel like Milwaukee's going to be too much of an advantage for them. Next, you got 4 Philadelphia versus 5 Toronto. Now, the thing that makes this interesting is that Matisse Thybulle is not vaccinated, therefore he can't play on the road games that are in Canada. So I feel like that, and along with having Philadelphia having a bad bench, might cost him. So the only, I mean, Embiid's going to get his. So just a matter of, okay, is James Harden going to step up? Is a young player like Tyrese Maxey going to step up? Is Tobias Harris finally going to live up to his contract? Those are the questions I have. Philly versus Toronto. I know I'm getting. Nick Nurse has won a championship. He's a good defensive coach. The team plays good defense. They have a lot of athletic wings that can guard multiple positions. They throw out different bodies like a Maxey or Harden. So I feel like that will be an advantage. But mainly because of Matisse Thybulle, the defensive ace for the Philadelphia being out for all the road games, even though Philadelphia has the home court advantage, I do feel like that will cost them. And I have Toronto upsetting Philly, moving on to the next round. I had that going a full 7 game series. Now I can see Toronto ending it in 6 in Toronto, um, but I feel like it's going to go full 7 games. And Philadelphia, like last year, will find some way to choke it. Next, in the West, you got started with Phoenix and New Orleans. Um, I I feel like this is going to be again one of those series where I feel like Phoenix can fully sweep them. Now, I'm not disrespecting Brandon Ingram or I'm not disrespecting CJ McCollum or anything like that, but they don't they're not the best defensive team, which Phoenix is, and they can take advantage of teams who don't play good defense on them. But like also, and just again, besides CJ McCollum, you just have too much youth on this team, and again, when you have experience versus youth, it manifests himself in the playoffs here. So I'm going to go ahead and go Phoenix with a full sweep. Next, you got Memphis versus Minnesota. Now, this is very interesting because both teams are super young and super athletic and deep. So it'll be interesting to see how things go here. Now, I do think Memphis will win the series, but I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota put up a fight because, as I saw with like Patrick Beverly and Anthony Edwards going on. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns has to play good, but if he does, now I can see this going like 6 games, before Memphis wraps it up. So that's what I have it going to, 6 games. 3 Golden State versus 6 Denver. Now, Steph Curry is expected to be healthy for the series, while Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. will not be for Denver. Now, what's interesting is that the Joker, by himself, defeated Portland in 6 games. Defeated C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard in 6 games. So it's like, so Jokic, is capable of doing also, especially since Golden State doesn't have any size to guard Jokic or to stop him. But since since Golden State is more deep and has their stars healthier, unlike Golden State, I do feel like this will probably be a gentleman's sweep. So I have Golden State winning this 4-1. Last but not least, you got Dallas versus Utah. Now, if Luka was healthy, I would favor the Mavs here. But because he's not healthy, he's out for game 1 and most likely out for game 2. I just feel like, let's say he comes back game 3, I still don't think he'll probably be 100% by then. So I just don't see how Dallas, especially whether they're down 2-0 or 2-1 or if they're tied 1-1, I just don't feel like they can overcome Luka's injury because they're so Luka reliant. It's like if Atlanta didn't have Trae Young, they'd be screwed. So I feel like this is the chance for Utah to take advantage here and get the series win. Have them winning in 6 games, 4-2. But if Luka can't come back by game 3, then the series will end much earlier. So now you move on to the second round. You got 1 Miami versus 5 Toronto. I actually feel like this will go full 7 games here. Both are, teams are defensive minded, grinded out style, play ugly, not going to shoot you out the gym. Both head coaches have won championships and are good at adjusting. So I do feel like it'll be, kind of a chess match there. But in the end, just because Miami Stars players are better than Toronto Stars players, and they have the home court advantage, I'll give them the advantage there to win in 7 games. 3 Milwaukee versus 7 Brooklyn. Like last year, I had this going 7 games again. And then also like last year, I have Milwaukee winning. Just because, again, Brooklyn does not have a defensive answer for Giannis. And I feel like Brook Lopez has a mismatch, whether it's Claxton, or Drummond. I feel like Brook Lopez can take advantage there. And then also, again, Brooklyn's not a good defense team. They've been playing better defense recently, but overall, again, just not a great defense team that will cost you at some point in the playoffs, especially since Milwaukee's been playing better ever since Brook Lopez has been healthy again. Now, the Milwaukee doesn't have PJ Tucker this time, so Kevin Durrett will not only be able to score a lot like he did last year, but this time he can do so more efficiently, which means maybe maybe he'll have more energy for the end of the games, unlike last year where he was burnt out, from PJ Tucker guarding him. But so that's a little bit of an issue for Milwaukee, but I feel like they'll take care of business here and win the 7 games. And then you got 1 Phoenix versus 5 Utah. I have this one. Now, what's interesting here is that Phoenix has dominated Utah, both in the regular season series last year and the regular season series this year. So for some reason, Utah just cannot match up with Phoenix. And I guess one of the main reasons why is they don't have anyone to guard Devin Booker. Devin Booker just goes off on them. And I guess same with Chris Paul, but like Devin Booker definitely more to a degree there. They don't have that like lockdown defender. Now they brought in Haas in the middle of the season. He kind of helps out that in regard, but it's like, Royce O'Neal's just too small, can't do it. Bogdanovich can't do it. And if you allow Booker to go out, it's going to be hard to contain Phoenix, especially since Phoenix has players like Mikal Bridgers, Jay Crowder, who can then shut down Donovan Mitchell on the other end of it. Now, of course, since the Jazz are good and deeper than last year's team, I do feel like they can make it a competitive series, but in the end, Phoenix will just be too much for them to have Phoenix win the series 4-2. Then you got Memphis versus Golden State. Again, I'm going to value experience here over the youngness of Memphis. Now, Memphis is definitely talented and deep enough, since they went 25, without Ja Morant. They could definitely, win some games here in this series. But I do feel like in the end, Golden State, Steph Clay will just be too much for Memphis to overcome, especially with their, playoff run experience and all that. So I have Golden State winning in 6 games, 4-2. Next, you got the Eastern Conference Finals. You got Miami versus Milwaukee. We got 2 different sides. Miami gentlemen sweeps Milwaukee back in the bubble in 2020, and then Milwaukee sweeps Miami last season. So let me kind of tell you what the difference is. So in the bubble, Miami had Jay Crowder, who's a smaller guy, of course, to guard Giannis, but nevertheless he did a pretty good job in guarding Giannis that series. Versus last season where Miami had no one to guard Giannis. I mean, they had Bam Adebayo, but he didn't do that good. But they didn't really have anyone to guard Giannis last series. Therefore, Giannis was able to go up and do his thing. And then also, back in the bubble, Bucks didn't have Drew Holiday versus last year where they did, and that was also a big difference maker. But now that Miami has someone to guard Giannis this time, like a PJ Tucker or Markieff Morris. So they have other defenders to guard, like a Middleton and Victor Oladipo and um, again Jimmy Butler or something like that. I do feel like Miami this time is more equipped to make it more competitive with Milwaukee. Now, in the end, since Milwaukee's talent's better than Miami's talent, top to bottom, I'm gonna go with Milwaukee here. But I still feel like it'll be a good competitive series here, and I have Milwaukee win this in 6 games. Then for the Western Conference Finals, you got Phoenix versus Golden State again, because you got the Splash Bros, and Golden State is a very good shooting team, and especially 3-point shooting team. While Phoenix, that's actually the one area they lack in, or not lack in, but they're just mediocre as 3-point shooting. So if Golden State turns into a 3-point shooting contest like the Jazz, the previous years can do, that could cost Phoenix, a game or two. But in the end, I do feel like Phoenix overall win. So it wouldn't surprise me this goes a full 7 games, but I have this going just 6 games. Phoenix winning 4-2. So then you get the finals rematch of Phoenix versus Milwaukee. This time I have it going 7 games instead of just 6 games. And then also this time I have Phoenix getting their revenge, getting it done over Milwaukee. Mainly because Phoenix is deeper than they were last year, which will help them. But then also I don't feel like Ayton will play that bad a defense again this time, unlike last time. And again, I do feel like Phoenix will allow, they will allow Giannis to go do his thing, but I feel like they'll play better defense against Middleton and against Drew Holiday, to where they won't allow them to go off, because I feel like Crowder or Bridges, can lock down Middleton. And because see, the difference was when Phoenix went up 2-0 in the series last year, Middleton struggled and Holiday struggled. Giannis got his mostly every single game of the series, but when Middleton and Holiday struggled the first 2 games, that's why the Suns won. But then they all played well, for the next 4 games, and that's why the Bucks won the next 4 games. So that's basically what it comes down to there. And I feel like Phoenix can, slow down Middleton and Holiday, for enough games to give them 4 wins in the series and to proclaim them champions. So again, this will be interesting to see what happens here. Which, by the way, I've loved the play-in tournament so far. Now, one stat that's kind of alarming so far is, because there are going to always be tweaks, the play-in tournament, is the home team during the play-in tournament has a 7-3 record, and now there's an asterisk with one of the losses, because last night, if Paul George didn't all of a sudden have to be out due to COVID, then the Clippers wouldn't have won the game last night. So you could really think of it as an 8-2 record. But it's just like 8-2 is like, that's not. I mean, while there's been some competitive games, all that, it's just like that's not really good. And I feel like a way to kind of tweak and make it even better is to have the play-in tournament be on neutral court. Because remember, back in the bubble, they had a game of the 8 seed versus 9 seed. And the winner gets to go in the playoffs. They did have that in the bubble, and that was a competitive game. On neutral court, they came down right to the wire. So I do feel like that would be, I'll see that. So that'd be my recommendation. If I were Adam Silver, or so far, since none of the 10 seeds have won so far, you could definitely make the case that you should do just an 8 versus 9 game only. But again, more games, more interesting, and makes it for a better product. I definitely understand why they include 7 seeds. So maybe a 10 seed will upset a 9 seed one day. They've been close a couple times, but we'll see. But yeah, that's just a couple of my suggestions for how to fix that. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, about me. Again, if you want to see my predictions, you can go on LinkedIn. You can go to my profile page down Durrett and be able to see a hard copy of all my predictions here. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful NBA playoff journey. Oh, and also, by the way, before I forget, the USFL, United States Football League, the new spring league for football, is starting this weekend. So make sure to tune into that. The games either on Fox or Peacock or NBC, USA Network, FS1, just any of those channels where they're usually going to be on. We gotta encourage spring football to do well, because I'm tired of different spring football leagues failing. Because I definitely want football in the spring. It gives me more, football to watch. Because there's nothing wrong with having the USFL or the XFL be relevant, and just enjoy more football in general. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.